It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. Today, we welcome a former athlete who has made his mark in the world of politics. He attended Alabama State University, where he played baseball and basketball and graduated with a degree in 1957. He served in the 101st Airborne Division of the U.S. Army from 1957 to 1959. In May of 1995, he was inducted into the Southwestern Athletic Conference Hall of Fame. He was an all-city baseball and basketball player at Chicago's Lincoln Park High School. From there, he jumped into the political landscape. He was elected to Secretary of State of Illinois in 1998 and has held that position ever since. It's Jesse White, and he joins this live stream of Listen In with KNN right now. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome into a brand new live stream edition of Listen In with KNN, sports talk radio show and podcast, broadcasting to you all live from our nation's capital of Washington, D.C. for Fox Sports 1340 AM and 96.9 FM. I am so excited to be here with you on a Friday. I know we usually do Tuesday and Thursday shows live stream, but my special guest, we're accommodating him. I'm excited to bring him on, especially because the timing this week in D.C., we're celebrating the Congressional Black Caucus Week. We just had some special guest at the White House that I'm excited to speak with him about as well. And he touches on politics, sports, HBCUs, so many different realms that we're going to talk about on today's show. So I just want to get into it. I'm excited to welcome him on. He is the Illinois Secretary of State. So please help me welcome Jesse White to the once again to have him on. Jesse, how are you today? Thank you so much for joining me.
Kelsey, glad to be on board.
I'm so excited. How are you feeling? How are you doing this Friday? I know you've been busy.
Well, I'm 7 days a week. I go to bed at 2 o'clock every day. I get up at 6 o'clock every morning. So I want to be at my duty station to discharge my duties in a manner in which the people of this wonderful state can be proud.
That is so exciting. Obviously, we know you're somebody that's really dedicated to what you do. That's why you've been in that position a long time and why the people keep you in that position for a long time. Just for background, everyone, he is Illinois' 37th Secretary of State. He was born in Alton, Illinois. Now you live in, are you still living on Chicago's north side or near the north side of Chicago?
Yes, I am.
I love it. I have family on the west side of Chicago, so I've got to get back there soon. Chicago, truly one of those beautiful cities, I think, in the entire country. Always love visiting, and I see why you've stayed there thus long.
We love our city.
It's beautiful, truly beautiful. And first elected to that office in 1998. Where did time go, Secretary White? Does it feel like you've been in that position thus long?
I can't believe that the people of the state of Illinois elected me 6 times. Elected me and re-elected me for a period of 6 times, 24 years.
Amazing.
I guess it's because I not only believe in commitment to duty, but I also believe that there's this big, wide, wonderful world out there.
Yeah.
And if you want to fit into it properly, you have to get off your back and on your feet and discharge your duties to the best of your ability. And so based on that, I've been able to be elected and re-elected for a period of 24 years. And I just want people to know that I deeply appreciate the honor.
That's truly amazing. And obviously, they want you in that seat, and that means you're doing the job that needs to be done. And as we talk about that, in that position, you actually became the first African American to hold that office in Illinois. So let's go back to 1998 when that first happened. What did that mean to you, to achieve something of such significance?
Well, first of all, I was told by the Democratic Party, of which I'm a member,
Yeah.
that I should not waste my time, tell my friends not to waste their time, their money, or their energies, or their efforts on my behalf,
Wow.
because a fellow by the name of Tim McCarthy, who took a bullet for President Reagan, was going to become the next Secretary of State for the state of Illinois. And I said to them that I don't walk away easily. I'm not a quitter. So just rest in the knowledge that I'm going to be in the race to win. And as it turned out, I averaged 14 to 15 events every day, traveling around the state of Illinois, promoting myself to become the next Secretary of State for the state of Illinois. And as it turned out, I became successful, won by 150,000 votes.
That's a big win.
Well, it's the largest office of its kind in the nation. And I'm really proud of the fact that the people selected me and reelected me. And I will ride off into the sunset on January the 15th after 24 years of service to the people of the state of Illinois. But prior to them, I was Cook County Recorder of Deeds for 6 years, state representative for 16 years, and 24 years in this office.
That's amazing. Secretary White, let's start from the beginning. Tell me, where did the love of politics kind of start for you? When did you know you wanted to hold a seat in office and really make a difference in the lives of so many people?
Well, Kelsey, I didn't have a desire to run for political office. The former president of the Cook County Board, his name was George Dunn, my Irish godfather. I would be with him every Monday night at the ward office, and then we would eat at Eli's restaurant. And one day he said, our state representative, Robert Thompson, is going to retire to Cassopolis, Michigan, and we need a replacement. And we have decided that you would be an ideal person for that position.
Right.
And I said, I have to. Every weekend I would go skiing at Schiss Mountain in Minnesota, Michigan, and I would go down this one hill. And I was unsuccessful. And on this particular occasion, I went down 12 times without falling. And I said to myself, if I can handle this hill, I can certainly handle the political arena. So I put my hand into the ring, and nevertheless, I became successful, served 16 years as a state lawmaker. And then I was asked to run for the Cook County Recorder of Deeds office. I ran in the LF position for 6 years. And then I was told that I should not waste my time or my efforts or my energies or my money to become the next Secretary of State for the state of Illinois. No African American had ever attained that position.
Right.
And I said, I came to this meeting seeking a reason as to why I should run. You give me every reason as to why I'm going to run. So I spent 14, 16 events a day for about a month and a half to attain this position. I won by 150,000 votes.
That's
and so far, I'm the longest serving Secretary of State in the history of the state of Illinois. And I've received more votes than anyone in the history of the state of Illinois.
Yeah, that has to make you feel good, going to serving that long. And as you said, all the votes that you received, and, just a kid right from Alton in the beginning. And now looking back right on what you've received, that has to make you proud, especially to do it in your hometown state, right?
I'm happy about that. And Alton, Illinois had a population of about 34,000 people, but at age 7, I moved to Chicago in a predominantly Italian neighborhood where you had to learn the capisci italiano, eat the linguine with the calamari sauce, the babalucci, the pizza, italiano. So you had to speak a little bit and meet with the people, rub elbows. And as it turned out, I was able to attain the position of Secretary of State, and I'm proud of that. And then I played professional baseball in the Cub organization for a period of about 7 years.
Yeah.
And I used to jump. I jumped out of airplanes with the 101st Airborne Division, 35 jumps. Taught school, have a gymnastic team called the Jesse White Tillman team. We've been around for exactly 63 years.
Incredible. 63 years. Truly incredible.
Well, I believe that when you get it, you give it back, and you must do something good with someone every day. And that's how I run my life.
Yeah.
And with these young people, I've had over 18,000 of them to come through the program. And the last count, to my knowledge, only 15 have gotten themselves into trouble with the law to combat juvenile delinquency. Wow. We teach our young people to love their fellow man and woman and never dislike anyone because of race, creed, or color. And they have to be leafless, smokers, and pipeless the only time they can practice pharmacies after they've earned a white coat. And then, of course, we want them to be a positive force in society. And we want them to go out into the world and make it a better place for all of us.
Yeah. Because it does take all of us, right, to make this world a better place. And I think investing in the young people, it's so important. And so, you talked about the Jesse White tumblers, which, folks, is actually internationally known, all right? And you're looking at the founder of it right here, helping to keep our kids off the street. So I know back in 1999, you guys had celebrated 40 years. And as you mentioned, you created this as a positive alternative for our young people, helping to stay away from gangs, drugs, alcohol, kind of some of those other things on the street. And as I understand it, Secretary White, they must maintain a C average, right, to participate in this program.
Yes, this is like when you're in high school or in college. If you cannot maintain at least a C average, you cannot participate. And they'll also tell you, too, I'd rather be in trouble with the police than be in trouble with Mr. White. That's how tough the love. And that's
that tough love you give them.
Tough love. And they have to be leafless, smokes, and pipeless. Cannot practice pharmacy without the license. Yeah. And then, of course, when I played basketball and baseball and taught gymnastics at Alabama State University, Dr. King was my minister.
Amazing.
And at church, he said, a lady by the name of Rosa Parks, a domestic worker, had been arrested, and he had been asked by the city fathers to lead the effort to desegregate the Montgomery transit system. He said, I've agreed to do so, and I'm going to use the nonviolent means approach. And he indicated that he was a student of Gandhi, and Gandhi was instrumental in bringing about the independence for the Indians from the British.
Right.
And that he used a nonviolent means approach. So he said, if you get struck on one cheek, you turn so you get struck on the other cheek. I raised my hand. And he said, Jesse White, what can I do for you? I said, Dr. King, you know me, you know me well. You know I'm from Chicago, and we don't operate like that. He says, well, just follow the script and all is well. And as it turned out, we were successful in bringing about the integration of the Montgomery transit system. So I applaud, commend, and thank him. And God rest his soul for his giving and caring spirit.
Yes, giving and caring spirit. That the timing of you bringing up this just incredible story that you just shared with us is perfect timing. Because I'm sure, as you know, it's CBC week here in Washington, D.C., Secretary White, right? So Congressional Black Caucus, and so many Black leaders here, talking about the important issues, talking about Black civic participation, right? Education, making sure that our babies, are getting the best education, as you just talked about, going back, integration, and all of these great things that you've been a part of. So thank you, Secretary White, truly for your service and all that you've done, for this country. And as we touch on that, you talked about Alabama State. So let's get into it. I want to talk about HBCUs. As we see, they're really growing, I think, in mainstream, which is super exciting. Secretary White, I'll tell you, I come from a family of HBCUs. My father went to Grambling State University. All my aunts went to Jackson State University. So HBCUs are truly in the blood. So you went to Alabama State College, which is now Alabama State University. It's where you got your Bachelor of Science degree back in 1957. As you talked about, you are an athlete. I'm not going to say former athlete, because once an athlete, always an athlete, where you participated in basketball and baseball, earning all conference honors. So take me back to just going there, experiencing HBC life and what it was like for you.
Well, I graduated from Lincoln Park High School in Chicago. Yeah. It's a predominantly white school, about 1,800 students, probably about 45 African Americans. I was on the baseball team. I also played drums in the band and orchestra.
Okay.
And I was scheduled to go to Beloit College, but I didn't have a sequence in math. They did not accept me. So Brookline College in Wisconsin, we want you, no sequence in math. Northwestern University said, we want you, no sequence in math. Tennessee State said, we want you, but you're too short. You're only 5'8.5". Well, as it turned out, Alabama State took me, and I excelled there. And I'll always remember those great experiences that I enjoyed at that wonderful institution of learning.
Go ahead, Dr. Secretary.
And so Dr. King, I passed my way. Rosa Parks, the wonderful lady. And you got a chance to see how life can be when you live together in peace and harmony. Let me back up a little bit. I was raised in an integrated environment. Now I'm involved in a segregated society where African Americans had to sit in the back of the bus and could not eat in the restaurants like we do here in this wonderful city of ours and country. And so I learned to love my fellow man and woman, and I teach that to my young people. You cannot dislike anyone because of race, creed, or color. There's this big wide world out there. We have to figure out a way to live in peace and harmony with one another. So not only must you learn to that experience, But you have to be leafless, smokeless, and pipeless. The only time you can practice pharmacy is after you've earned a white coat.
Yeah.
That means no drugs.
No drugs at all.
No
Yes.
drugs. And then we also teach our young people to be in school on time every day and have one aim in mind, and that's to get the best education possible. Because when you do those things and more, you can be better for it, and you're going to be able to share your experiences and your life experiences with these young people who are in your charge.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about the fact that I've had a chance to play professional baseball, jump out of airplanes, play
You've done it all, Secretary White. I mean, there's nothing not on your resume. You've lived life. And I think that's what it's about. You've had so many incredible experiences, right? And they help to shape, your viewpoint on life, your experiences on life. And then I think it helps you probably in your everyday because you're able to pull from so many various things. And, as we talk about HBCUs and all these cool things you're doing, going to school at Alabama, Secretary White, and as we think about the country now, we're always working, as you said, to live in peace and harmony, but we know that's not the case everywhere. And I would love, if you don't mind, if I could take you back. I'm just very curious, when was your first bout with racism in this country?
Well, I lived in an integrated environment in Chicago, and I very seldom got a chance to experience segregation and discrimination.
Right.
But when I went to Alabama State, I got on the bus because I wanted to go downtown to buy some school supplies.
Right.
And I sat behind the bus driver, and I could hear the people in the back of the bus speaking in a loud voice. And I looked back, and they were beckoning to me to come back to where they were.
Right.
Well, I didn't know them, and so I just ignored them. And then finally, they got the attention of the bus driver. He turned around, and he saw me sitting behind him. And he said, "Boy, don't you know that you're sitting in the wrong part of the bus?" I said, "Well, I gave you my fare there, which was required.
Right.
And I should be able to sit anywhere I want to sit." And he said, no. So I said, "Where are you from?" I said, "From Chicago." He said, "Well, let me tell you, you're not Montgomery, Alabama, and we will not tolerate you sitting in the wrong part of us. Do you see that sign? One sign said colored, the other said white." And so I said, "Well, I'm going to sit here." So as he's going down the hill, there's a squad car right by the Texaco gas station.
Wow.
And he stopped the bus. And he was getting out to hail the police officer. And as it turned out, someone went through the red light, and the squad car took off behind the person who had gone through the red light.
Wow.
So he got back on the bus, and we ended up in downtown Montgomery. And after I got off the bus, the people in the back said, "Where are you from? And we shouldn't do this. And down here, they will lock you up and throw away the key, and they'll beat you and they'll do a lot of terrible things." Well, the next time I got on the bus, I sat in the back of the bus. I sat back real well because I had that experience.
Right.
And so I became a better person for that. It really instilled in me the fact that we have to figure out a way to love our fellow man and woman,
Right.
get along, and never discriminate because of race, creed, or color.
Right. Right. And it shouldn't be, that shouldn't be the things that, tear us apart. Because, even here, one of the things that people are talking about and discussing is this new Emmett Till documentary that they've been showing during Congressional Black Caucus Week, also obviously ties to Chicago, Illinois. And, we've made progress in terms, I think, of race relations, Secretary White, but, still more work to do. Again, no one should be judged because of the color of your skin. I think it's beautiful to be able to see so many different colors and creeds every day you wake up. I think that's what makes, our country beautiful. And, you get to experience something new, and you get to see and learn from somebody that's not the same, right, as you. So hopefully we get to that point and to that place. All right, right, Secretary White? I think that's what we want to get to.
This is truly the greatest country on the face of the earth. I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And every day I pinch myself because I was able to achieve something that no African American had ever been able to achieve in Illinois.
Yeah.
And the people have come out in mass to support every election that I've been involved with. And I just want them to know that I'm deeply appreciative of it. At the same time, I'm going to move forward to help make this world the greatest, this state of ours, the greatest state ever devised by a man or woman.
So wonderful to hear. So when all is said and done, Secretary White, what do you want people to just remember most about you and your career of service?
Well, I was able to get it, and I gave it back. And I also, as I said before, believe that every day you should do something good for someone. That's how I run my life.
Yeah. Incredible. Incredible. And you should do good, be good. That's what I'm always preaching and always talking about. I think it's so important, right, that these things always continue on. And, Secretary White, since this is a sports show, I want to dive a little bit deeper into your sports background and history. So one thing coming up, if you're still following, I'm sure you're still following Alabama State University. They've got a big game coming up against Jackson State, homecoming football game, October 8th. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Of course, Jackson State has kind of been the hot team right now in HBCU football with Deion Sanders at the helm. Does Alabama State get the win on October 8th, Secretary White?
I hope so. The Hornets.
Yes. They're going to have their hands full, though. I don't know if you've seen Jackson State this year, but they've been pretty good, Secretary White.
I won't get a chance to go down to see the game, but rest of the knowledge that I will be cheering for the Hornets.
Always cheering for the Hornets. As we talk about that homecoming game, and honestly, just HBCUs in general, as we know, homecoming season is coming up. HBCU homecomings people talk about them as legendary. All right, Secretary White, there's something to experience just as a culture you get at HBCUs. I want to ask you, do you have any good homecoming stories you could share with us?
I just said Tuskegee was always the team that we would compete against when I was there. That was the game. You could lose all your games, but you have to beat Tuskegee. That was what was happening.
The one rule.
Yes.
Amazing to hear. And again, if you guys don't know about Secretary White's athletic history, he was so good that back in May 1995, he was inducted into the Southwestern Athletic Conference Hall of Fame. He's also been inducted into the Chicago Public League Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. And then if that's not enough, folks, in 1999, he was inducted into the Alabama State University Sports Hall of Fame. So you are a multi-Hall of Fame member. What does that mean for you, Secretary White?
Well, it makes me feel good. I played basketball and baseball.
Yeah.
And I used to shoot a jump shot. And during that time, they were shooting the ball with two hands and with one hand. And they had never seen anyone jump up about 4 feet and shoot like Curry. And so as it turned out, I became quite successful in the basketball court at 5'8.5". And I just want to applaud, commend, and thank my coaches and the people who provided me with the scholarship that I enjoyed to achieve some of the things that we're talking about as we speak.
Truly incredible and amazing. And we go from collegiate sports to then playing professionally, which you mentioned with the Chicago Cubs organization. We got to talk about this. You played with them from 1959 to 1966, primarily as a center fielder, had a career batting average of 2.291. Let's talk about the baseball aspect, Secretary White, and what it was like to play baseball for the Cubs.
Well, I played primarily. Let me back up. After I had graduated from high school, after I had graduated from college, a fellow by the name of Bill Prince took me out to Wrigley Field. There were about 300 ball players at the time, and they only selected 5 of us, and I happened to be the only African American of the 5. And then they signed me to a contract, and I was scheduled to go to spring training. This was in June. I was scheduled to go to spring training in February of 1957, and as it turned out, instead of going to spring training, I ended up going to basic training at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, better yet, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And then I later said I want to learn how to jump out of airplanes. So I was transferred to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, went through jump school, ended up doing 35 jumps. Matter of fact, President Nixon was being sped upon in Caracas, Venezuela, and we went airborne with 10 aircraft. And we got over the Gulf of Mexico and turned around and headed back to our base because the 1st Marine Division had landed at Quilly Unrest. And the lieutenant said that the 1st Marine Division had landed in Caracas. We've been asked to return to our base. I have bad news for you. And I said, what is the bad news, Lieutenant? He says, it's going to be a night jump at Fort Campbell, Kentucky on Yamato Drop Zone. Well, we had never jumped at night.
Wow.
And so as it turned out, we had a great experience learning how to jump during the day and at night. So I really enjoyed the military and enjoyed jumping out of airplanes because I was in an airplane once.
Wow.
And I was about to crash, and we had chutes, and this is my first flight, and no one knew how to jump out of the aircraft. So as it turned out, when I got back to my base, I had to go to jump school to learn how to exit an aircraft.
Always good to know. I feel like that's some good basic things, and you had the skill to do that. And again, you went from that and then played baseball. Again, that's why I said, what have you not done? It seems something so special. I saw this video back on August 8th, 2021. The Chicago Cubs signed you to an honorary major league contract.
Well,
Secretary Wright, take me back to that moment.
well,
Yeah.
I was playing for Salt Lake City. That's AAA. That's the next
Okay.
to the majors. And I hit a home run the night before, and the reporter said, I heard a lot about you, and I want to know if I could have lunch with you because I want to do
Yeah.
a story on you. I said, well, okay, fine. So I met with the young lady who happened to be white, and we were sitting in the restaurant, and two of my ball player friends passed by my booth, and they saw me sitting there with her, and they
Right.
punched each other and said, hey, look at that, and pointed. Well, then about 10 minutes later, Fred Martin, the pitching coach for the Cubs, saw me sitting with her. And again, he got a little upset. He was from South Carolina, so he didn't like
Mm.
the idea of me sitting
Yeah.
with
He didn't like you sitting with a white woman.
a white woman.
Yeah.
So the night before the game started, he asked me to come into his office. And he said, you're scheduled to go up with the Cubs,
Right.
the parent club, but that's not going to happen. I said, what do you mean by that? He says, well, you're a good ball player, a great fielder, great hitter, but the problem is you are out today with that white woman, and that's a no-no. And I
Wow.
said, well, if you feel that way, the hell with you. I'm going to
Right.
continue to do what I have to do. And that story, the reason I was with her was primarily because she wanted to do a story on me.
Right. She's a journalist.
So as it turned out, the team was owned by the Wrigley Experiment gun people at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now Tom Ricketts owned the Cubs. He heard the story.
Right.
And he said, we want to have a day at Wrigley Field to honor Jesse White.
Right.
So they had my tumbling team to perform. They had me
Oh, that's wonderful.
to throw out the first pitch, and then they signed me to the major league contract.
That's incredible, Secretary White. How did you feel, like, being back there, your tumblers performing, you throwing out the first pitch, with the hometown baseball
It
team?
was quite an honor,
Yeah.
and I'll always remember it. And two
I-
thumbs up with Tom Ricketts and the Cubs.
That's so wonderful. And before I let you go, I wanted to quickly touch on your other Chicago sports. Are you excited about the Chicago Bulls? We know basketball training camp is underway. We'll be back in the regular season soon.
Well, we wish them well. As a matter of fact, my
Yeah.
team has performed for most of the NBA teams, baseball teams,
Wonderful. Yeah.
basketball. We've been to Zagreb, Croatia, Belize, Israel, China, Tokyo, Japan, Hong Kong, Honolulu, Hawaii. The list goes on.
Wow.
And so these young people get a chance to meet the athletes, see them perform,
Yeah.
and get themselves in a posture by which at one time during their lifetime, they could say, I want to be like Michael Jordan, or I want to be like
Yeah.
some outstanding athlete.
Yeah.
So it gives them an opportunity to be up front and personal with these athletes.
That's incredible. I did gymnastics way back when, Secretary White. I miss it. I got too tall for it. They kicked me out, but it's okay because now I cover gymnastics. But I think it's such a great sport and a great skill, and especially to see people of color in it. I was blessed and fortunate enough that the gym where I did train was the same gym where Dominique Dawes actually trained out in Maryland. To see somebody like her, so inspiring. So I can only imagine, what it's like, for your tumblers, as you said, to get experience, to these great athletes and venues, that they're getting a chance to perform in. So again, job well done with that. And I'm going to have to come see them in person next time I'm in Chicago live and in living color. Super excited about that, Secretary.
I'll talk about the name of Vince Schoenfelder, a German fellow who was
Yeah.
physical education instructor at Seward Park, which is actually a block and a half from where I live.
Yeah.
Taught me gymnastics. And then I was able to teach gymnastics while I was in college, play baseball and basketball as a part of my
Wow.
scholarship. And so I passed it on to these young people. And
That's amazing.
18,000 of those young people are out in the world right now.
Wow.
And out of the 18,000 kids, we have about 40 young people who are on the team as we speak who are in college. And we can reach from between 3,000 to 8,000 toward education. You have to maintain at least a C average in school. If your grades fall below par,
Right.
then of course you cannot benefit from the scholarship, nor can you participate with the team.
Right. You got to
So-
keep the standards up. Yeah. You got to
Yeah.
stick to it.
You get it, you give it back. And as I always say, every day you have to do something good for someone.
Yes, always, always. Again, be kind to thy neighbor. And please, 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 folks, do at least one kind thing every single day for someone other than yourself. That's what makes this world a better and greater place that I know we all want it to be. And last thing before I let you go, Secretary White, it's football season. We also talk about the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears, you're also feeling confident in?
Go Bears.
It's always go Bears, rooting for the Chicago Bears. It's still early in this season, but we're excited to continue them this football season. Do you get a chance to go out to any games still, Secretary White?
Periodic. I do maybe 1 or 2 football games a year.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Professionally, and then about 6 college games as well.
Fun, very fun. And if I'm in Chicago, I'm going where I feel a little bit warm because I know how the Chicago winters are, Secretary White.
When you're in Chicago, you make sure you give me a phone call, okay?
I definitely will. Secretary White, thank you again so much for your time. So gracious of you to join us here live on Listening with KNN, presented by Fox Sports Radio. And before I let you go, just Lenny, any last words for our listening audience?
Well, I just want them to know that, as I indicated before, when you get it, you give it back. And
yes.
You do all you can to make this world a better place in which to live and help our young people because they're our future. It's important for us to make sure we give them an opportunity to enjoy life and to pass it on.
I love that. You know, when you get it, give it back and make sure that our young people, make sure they're supported, folks. Secretary White, thanks again so much for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your day and a wonderful weekend. So great to meet you.
And you enjoy yours too, Kelsey.
Thank you so much. Have a great one. Bye, Secretary White.
Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into this live stream edition of Listen In with KNN. Again, we came to you on a special day on a Friday, but I was super delighted to welcome Secretary White on. Truly gracious with this time, just sharing so many amazing stories. You heard a meeting with, late great Reverend Dr. King, Rosa Parks. I mean, this man is truly a part of history, and so to have him share his history with us here meant so much. And also HBCU sports. We got to look out for that October 8th game and see if Jackson State is able to beat Alabama State. It will be good. But nonetheless, I wish you all a great Friday. Be sure to, again, keep connected to the show. Please be sure to subscribe. And when you're listening to the audio versions of the show, please be sure to subscribe and download those shows. Again, lots of great guests joining this show from present, from the past. Okay, you're not going to want to miss it, I promise you. And so excited soon to be welcoming on my new intern team and introducing them to you all. But as always, a special thanks to everyone that makes this show go, everyone from behind the scenes. I cannot do it without you. Wish you all a great Friday of football this weekend, professional football. So much going on now. We've got NBA preseason basketball. This is what we love, sports fans, the truly best time of the year. I'll see you all next week for more live stream shows. And until then, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Bye, guys.
Follow Kelsey on social media at The Real K Nelson. Catch episodes of Listen In with KNN on YouTube, on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM, Fox Sports Radio, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.